Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my... Now, without further ado, we may...
So this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the... Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice, the embodiment...
May I interpret these words as your refute? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up...
Paimon can't believe it.
What the heck is going on?
Wow, how odd.
Lady Farina, what is the meaning of this?
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding.
Looking for excuses again.
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. I will admit that I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the... You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. But now, it is time for I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of this time. Applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous... Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of fun.
Woohoo!
Oh, now we're making history.
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is...
All right, then. Who will be
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Also, please allow me to ask, just how much work did you do to force...
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect... The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely... So
you mean... the ones who scoured the...
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate...
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the opera, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Arenes. Was an Archon in... My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off...
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water. It was
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may come...
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the...
Thank you.
As for you, traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with you'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage. Oh? Is that so? It's fine. It matters not. What's done is done. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her,
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this... Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything. So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as evidence for an argument. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, all right?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took part in at the Opera House. I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time. I guess you could also see... You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took part in at the Opera House. That's one... I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time. I guess you could also... This is the first time Monsieur Nervillette had a difference of opinion with the oratories. Even the Hydro Archon can't figure it out. A Fatui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary person. Her instinct must mean something. The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a single day. That I didn't witness that scene personally will always be a source of professional regret, I think. According to Monsieur Nervillette, both Child and that whale should have been in the primordial sea at that time. I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest, that still gives me shivers. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only be truly understood when something's...
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervillette. There's no need. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a...
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the...
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty.
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Faucillor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be...
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super irresponsible.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? You have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also...
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. And if I was not the Archon,
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally, but in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your
Neverlet sensed it too, huh?
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have... Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of For centuries, manifestations of my authority have One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this...
That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think this clue... You tried to reference the Oratrice. But weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty with...
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for...
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is while the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come. You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the...
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of
the real Hydro Archon. Well, now you're real. It is true that I did not know why, but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And you can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god...
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
My power as an Archon. There are...
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that...
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their day.
Isn't that a huge...
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power...
Seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that's... Please, you've got to believe me.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And all of our...
Enough. That's enough. Tell me then. If I'm not the real... If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their...
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now? doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound... that... It has been established that all Fontanians can...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right...
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many... including those of some of my closest... So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of the seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no effect on you. But, if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting...
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her...
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare to try?
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution, as it falls outside the realm of standard court...
Well, of course he had to tell her that, but refusing to...
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
What?
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon!
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward.
Siegewin?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as...
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Farina, you may...
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved!
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. We don't want anyone else to lose their...
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse... It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Farina...
I can't believe... You... Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks! Think about it! How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to just put my hand in the... Please, everyone! Anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway any...
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway her to just too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final... According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct, then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: to be punished via the death sentence. The death...
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a...
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court. And it's been given to the very person we've...
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trap.
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's... Is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been...
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial, but now... the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the High...
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume this means you've...
Any mission Father assigns to me will always be top priority.
First prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged...
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. But has the trial already concluded? Then... doesn't that...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates. I would like...
So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I have now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to...
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kind of talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to...
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other three... Stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But if Oceanids can turn into humans, the second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still... This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin and the third slate shows the Hydro Archon seeking into the seas? That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question of when and not if. That doesn't sound
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women and the first stone slate tells us that long ago, the Hydro Archon used her power. This might be the reason that Fontanians can
That doesn't sound quite... That doesn't sound...
Perhaps what is about to take place, the true sin of the Hydro Archon and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia, has
That doesn't sound...
It's not as simple as falling in. When Navia fell into the sea, the stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society, but not many people. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontanians to dissolve if we hadn't dealt with it in time.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in... The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The stone slate's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together... it now, so but then it feels like we're going to have to...
Let's hear them.
Incredible! Linny, did you...
We're not real humans.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late... The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vachette... Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty.
The Hydro Archon's true sin?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so many pieces of the truth. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using a different power source. When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within. If every...
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of... In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon has not one to give in. She eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race, and thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine...
So
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing.
Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin...
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontanian.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals, they have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicts the nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, you may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her Therefore, the meaning of the third that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the... Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as...
What should we do?
No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will...
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate, you probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripede served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about. However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small... As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered... This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
That doesn't sound...
It was both dream.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it is chosen to... That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main... And once it has finished consuming all of the energy...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practically... Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some...
That's not something... We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some...
Indeed, that's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter.
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
You.
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just...
You are not Farina. Who are...
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my...
Focalor. Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. The heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principle?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be... One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible... I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume, although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and... But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose...
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart, she could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited. Her strengths were of a kind only a human. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every... Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role. I suppose now you probably understand why.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human, it's been 500, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely.
Oh, who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand your admiration for my august self. All right, it is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract me from... Oh, do not jest. Can you not... I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must, at all times... Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Don't get frostbite. Freeze. Dodge this.
You're in.
Cool it. Windblade. Freeze. Disappear. Windblade. Dodge this. Oh, so sorry.
No escape!
Cool it.
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Go, Baron Bunny!
freeze my sights.
Here! Cool it! What's the hurry? Dodge this! This moment will be frozen in time. Freeze! Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am.
Wait a moment. You're mirror me? How?
Mirror you, huh? You know what?
Mirror me.
The prophecy.
What prophecy? Wait, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the hydro-arc—
Oh, very—
What's going on? I can't seem to remember.
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a fun—
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world. I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer somewhat.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. As for the suffering, well, I will admit that. But if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side and my pain on the other.
You truly are I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you.
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you.
Play as a god?
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying the—
But how will I do this? A human—
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real god. You simply need to play being a human yourself. I'm sure you already know what— Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity.
I'm still not sure I understand, but I'll try. So, how long am I going to have to play this role?
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for many, many years. You will endure, but I promise you, all will eventually end in a magnificent and dramatic—
A trial, huh? How exciting. I'll be looking forward to it. The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession, but this is my, what should I say, to most appear like a god. To be honest. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro-Archon. Indeed, in truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god. But it will be as the god Focalor, the god of justice. I shall do all within my power to... Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, please send them. This should do it. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able...
That's the new Hydro-Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a bit more...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What's the difference between...
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just...
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake? Right. Mirmi said that I just need to play the role of... Calm down, Farina. Think. What do the assertive, with a strong sense of presence. One who can... Oh, very good, my people. Only ones such as you are deserving of my rule. Now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and claim ownership of it. Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. Having passed my test, you are qualified to... You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a debut that suited the atmosphere. Now then, let us be...
So that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before. Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart my accession speech. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, we have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that the scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its God. On one side, it must carry fairness and justice. And on the other, may law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light the fire. There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. All that, so long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the Opera Epiclese, so long as I stand before the oratrice, I shall...
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now, was I not just... Besides, none of these trials were the one...
If I may be so impertinent, what...
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial.
That's true, I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine thought, lady.
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do your duties.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance instead. Oh, I'm afraid. All right. Deoteria, is it? How is your son's illness?
You remembered me. He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I. He was the one who forced me to seek an audience with you and to bring your words back to him.
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again in the future...
Oh, you're such a gentle and wise God.
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters you asked to take note of...
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, I did already expect this, but I wanted to... All manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come to pass.
Well, as I understand it, the Fontaine Research Institute...
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm afraid that they haven't found it.
Oh, is that so? Well, no wonder. This issue has reached the realm of the god. The day is finally over. I haven't, but it's good to see that everything's getting on track. Maybe this is fine. I just need to keep going. All right, Farina, don't think too hard about this.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the follow-up.
There'll be no need for that. I've seen...
Lady Farina, I've...
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen.
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near Poisson.
Understood. Keep monitoring. Keep me informed should anything come up at the Institute. I don't think I just don't know, and I feel utterly exhausted.
Lady Farina, it's like I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you was Madame Deoteria. Almost...
And what a fine family yours is indeed.
Surely.
What is it, good citizen?
Are you crying?
Really now? I didn't... This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god who...
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your power.
So interminable. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. Perhaps I never imagined that it would hurt so much. Have I reached my limit? I want to tell someone, anyone, about I've conducted so many investigations across the century. All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone, although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone. Your people are more...
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can just share it with me.
A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from... And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage... He's right. I could confide in him, but if things don't play out as expected... No, Farina, you shouldn't be so... But what if... Oh, Farina, you've worked so hard for so... Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? To find someone in whom... If you let this opportunity slip through your... Think about it. Long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. I am Farina, the Archon of Fontaine. All you need to do, dear spectator, is...
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once...
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly... She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, it seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after...
I believe that I understand how your deception works. But that is... How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine?
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the... I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine.
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within...
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes... It would, alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient... In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact... Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not... I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose? My work over these last 500 years has... But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated, the vast majority had to be accumulated.
It was all a part of your plan, then?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia had it only been used for that purpose. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rule.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the destruction of that divine throne. If I do not miss...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Soft.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the...
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, Hydro Dragon. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not... Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole... I, for my part, am the god of justice. Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was... Then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontainians as humans and their right to exist in this world... In other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. At this point, we, whether it be myself, Iudex Nervillet, the highest judge in our land, when you regain your full power...
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now, at last, I now understand the true purpose beyond. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about... You are a devious one, Focalor. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervillet. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feel.
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved, I assume whatever.
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that.
Didn't you say just a moment ago that it can't be
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice. The root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the... Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come. Done my best to separate the power. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power with you. We shall look for a way together. Resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Present itself. I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment. and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Disappear! Dodge this! Cool it!
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but... oh well. It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point, but they bumped into one another earlier than I thought. What a blunder.
That power.
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, it's just that he gave us the impression that she was, less...
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, so you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an... that kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. The only thing that creature has going for it is that, all in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have missed the point.
The point being?
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well...
oh, right. So you don't know him. Sorry, I assume his name is Sir Delogi.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar with...
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous.
The fowl?
Still nothing? Well, how about the visionary? Vetterfulnir, then?
Ooh, that one we've heard! Rhine Doctor's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
So you do know that name. To be honest, I also... But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhindaughter. They are both pursuing some form...
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary person?
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to... As such, the Fontaine back on the surface has most likely... In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full...
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has already managed to...
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Farina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Over here!
Initiate emergency rescue! Hurry!
Hey, lend a hand!
Receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
The prophecy was wrong.
Ursula talks post-disaster rebuilding. I recently visited Poisson to meet with Miss Navia, spokesperson of the Spina di Ursula, and we spoke about Poisson's prep. Old soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia stated. Hope is like seeing a small cookie when you're starving late at night. Skyship Winglet, lunar brain of the Fontaine Research Institute. The various disputes that have arisen on account of Mr. Edwin have suddenly become a shield over the Institute, with Jurier turning out to be a once-overlooked hidden gem. People always call the first researcher mad, but few know what to call the second. And should that latter person achieve a miracle, they would find it all the harder to find a word with which to... Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports. Are those really Jurier and Navia? They sound like real big shots.
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The Steambird's idea was pretty simple. With the disaster just having passed, we would print a free edition packed to the margins with good... The value for these big scoops lies in their inevitable follow-ups. We'll publish further reports and go into the stories behind those people. Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created a true flying ship, while Navia is leading people in the reconstruction of their home. I'm sure that these stories could draw even your well-traveled eye.
Paimon's curious too! Wait a minute. Didn't we watch him?
And that's exactly why I'd like you to come conduct interviews with me. You're the best incubators of news, if you haven't noticed. And also, with you around, I'm sure I'll get to see that Duke.
Are you sure? Hasn't he?
Oh, this time will be different. Come on! Let's head to Poisson first, and then make a trip to the fortress.
Oh, it's you. What brings you all...
Hey, we're just having a look around.
I'm here to update myself on how things are going here.
Oh! Let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garunt Snezhevich. He represented the Knave in sending us a large amount of supply. Our residents are hard at work as well. Thanks to everyone, work is progressing nicely. We've lost a lot of people.
Hello, Miss Charlotte. I'm a big fan of yours. I especially like that article you wrote last year about fun. But if you don't mind, could you not emphasize our role too much in your report? It's not charity we're doing here. We just happen to...
I get where you're coming from. I'll keep it as simple as possible. Or would you be willing to feature as friendly neighbors?
That would be fine. Thanks.
Oh, you're back too. How are
We finished laying down the construction materials. It'll be another hour before the workers are able to go over there.
Huh? You're here too, Clorand?
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel business with Miss Farina. So she's here in Poisson to wait out the heat.
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson. The Spina has need of more decision-makers. And, well...
Oh, wait just a moment. Do you mind me asking a few questions? You know, about how you felt before the duel, about what it was like facing down...
Forget it. I'm sure you can find a better theme than that, Miss Charlotte.
I see you're the same as always. Couldn't you do me a favor for Navia's...
Well, if we're talking about doing things for my sake, you might as well just take a few more photos of me. Or of the Traveler.
Of course I will. I'm not gonna let him off that easy. All right, then everyone who wants to be in the photo, gather up.
How did it go? Was Is it a good shot? Does Paimon look cute in it?
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. All right, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more shots. All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the essence when it comes to the news, and freshness is the key. Also, not to brag, but I'm pretty good at building connections. Who knows? I might eventually get that interview with you after all, Miss Clarand.
Wow, you really do have that never say die.
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview at the Fortress of Meripede.
Whoa, you're well informed. Let me make a guess too. I asked Sijuin, who told Monsieur Nervillet, and he told you, right?
That's a very complete information chain.
In truth, all Monsieur Neuvillette asked me was, when did the fortress become so friendly towards the media? I told him that it was best not to speak too soon. There's no guarantee that Ridesley will make a personal appearance.
You're right. I've got to treasure every moment I have with them. In which case, I'll be making a move first.
Stay safe now. And tell me if you hear anything interesting. I'll treat you.
Wow, guess we're here again, huh? There's a real nostalgic...
Looks like you've been missing us.
Duke! Did you come all the way to the entrance to greet us?
Of course. I'm here to welcome you and our dear Miss Charlotte, whom our good head nurse...
It's an honor to finally meet the much-rumored Duke. Thank you for consenting to my visit to the fortress, sir.
No need to thank me. But that said, I shouldn't be the focus of your interview. I trust you recall our agreement?
Of course, of course.
All right then, this way.
Hey, no need to be so nervous. I've already taken all the photos. Miss Charlotte.
It would seem that Miss Lorvine doesn't want her face to appear beside that of Mr. Jurier.
Sir, please don't say things like that.
But it looks like dear Mr. Jurier denies it. Might this interview be...
No, I just... This is my first...
Now, I might not look it, but I actually did meet Mr. Edwin once. And I'll be honest, I enjoyed chatting with you more. You've definitely got the boat that brought about a miracle, the ark that saved the people. Why, you recreated a myth back there, like an emissary of legend. Still, if I might ask, where's that flying ship now?
Huh. Looks like Charlotte's trying to get herself another exclusive...
I have to apologize, but that ship is presently in the bowels of our factory. I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to get a shot of it.
Really? Well, then in that case, could I have an interview with you to make...
You already know my answer, I'm afraid. Best you interview our head nurse instead. Or perhaps you'd like to take another...
Did you really have to use the word couple? Well, then, 2 solo photos will do.
Is my hair messed up? Please, someone help me have a look.
Things sure are getting pretty lively here. We've seen this kind of thing before. Oh, seems like everyone's here. Would any of you like to try this new...
Ah, Sijuin.
Hey, Miss Charlotte. Why don't you, take some pretty sure. Come on, Miss Sijuin. Over this way. Let's find a brighter spot.
Huh? Sure. Do I have to smile? So, how have things been at the fortress?
Same old, as you can see. Fontaine's undergone some changes, but this place is still more or less the same.
Other than that flying ship, it got a tad too much attention, I think.
That's why I decided to let the interview go through. We should direct more public opinions toward the behind-the-scenes heroes. Am I right?
You're too kind, sir. I believe that you too should have your day in the sun.
I'll just leave the spotlight to you two. I see. Lots of things happened that day, huh? Anyway, regarding that Harbinger, I'm not sure you remember, but his 3 young followers are still waiting for his return.
He sure did win them over, huh?
I'll tell them that there's good news and bad news. The good being that their boss seems fine, and the bad being that they must face extended...
Oh, actually, what about you?
What change can there be? The fortress will keep chugging along, and so will mine. As to what Miss Farina's departure will mean for the nation, and if our laws and governance will be transformed, we'll leave those to the folks in the overworld.
Hey everyone, the photo shoot's done.
Good. In that case, let's call it a day here.
Thanks for your cooperation. Come on, Traveler, let's go. Till next time.
There'll be a next time?
Maybe. Who knows? I might write a story about the underwater factory next time. Until then. All right. Last stop, the docks. Mentioned that she stayed in touch with Linny and the others after working together. Apparently, they've been at the docks distributing these strange...
Traveler, Paimon. Ah, and Miss Charlotte, too.
Would you like a magic pocket?
What sort of gadget is it?
It's a wondrous bag that can be used to carry many things. The water level has returned to normal, but if you see any of your things floating around, you can use this to carry them.
Trick a friend. I wonder which of my friends would fall for...
You could just make a friend like Fremine here. Isn't that right, Fremine?
Is this what you meant by, I'll help you make some more friends?
To be honest, that sounds pretty sweet. Could I have your contact, please?
Sure.
Lynette sure is working hard to help Fremine socialize.
He was the one who proposed doing this. He even wants to assist in our magic shows.
Yes, I was planning to first introduce Pear as an assistant, and later Fremine himself. In the future, I think we can leave underwater escape magic to him.
That said, would anyone want to see a diver escape underwater?
Oh, it'll work out. Every journey begins with the first step. He'll be...
Lynette, could you come over? Miss Charlotte says she wants to take a pic...
Got it.
My, that Charlotte is rather perceptive. She got rid of everyone the moment she realized I had something to say to you. Father says that you did a great deal during the latest events. She's very grateful for your contributions to Fontaine.
That's all right. We were more than happy to help. So, what's she doing now?
Oh, I guess you haven't heard. Well, after Lady Farina left, Father and Monsieur Neuvillette opened negotiations, during which he gave Fontaine's gnosis to her.
A diplomatic gift? A gnosis?
Yes, I was quite surprised at first myself. But when I thought it over, there were actually a number of things going for it. It could have been done as an apology for the incident with Lord Child, or as thanks for his help in tying the all-devouring narwhal down. Furthermore, Father did also lend significant aid to Fontaine and...
Well, that's true, but this is a gnosis we're talking about. Doesn't this...
I would agree, but I've also heard that... It seems that Monsieur Neuvillette has had a significant change of heart
So there's some reason for this that only Neuvillette knew...
I suspect you'll have to ask him about that yourself. Ah, yes, speaking of which, I did see him strolling around the entrance.
Isn't he real busy and stuff? Paimon didn't think he'd have the time, but back to the topic. The gnosis was given to the knave, right? What about Child?
They say that he's returned to Snezhnaya to recover from his wounds. I hear that the recent disaster really did a number on his health.
That's true. When you think about it, we've had loads of run-ins with the Fatui. To think we'd be allied with them this time.
So shocked by such a simple switching of sides?
Father!
Well, what do you know? Come to the docks to see how my children are doing and meet the traveler by chance. Please do not pay my accomplishment.
Are you going to take the gnosis back to...
That is our duty as harbingers. Yes. Don't be too preoccupied with sides. The goal of the Fatui concerns not a single place or person, but the entire world. With such a grand goal in mind, it isn't switching my masks. Is something I've always done. Well, that depends on many things. No one truly knows what the future holds. What good is honesty if you can't As for you, I very much look forward to our next collaboration. Good things cannot be achieved alone, and you've proved yourselves to be great partners. A vision? All right.
And that's a wrap for me. Huh? You...
Greetings, Miss Journalist.
Hello. If I'm not mistaken, there are diplomatic channels I'll need to report to take a photo of you.
That is correct. So forgive me, but I will not be able to serve as a subject in your article. However, feel free to write as much as you'd like about...
I will.
The sea breeze is quite pleasant. I shall continue my walk while the weather...
Farewell, Father.
Oh, she has such an intimidating presence. I didn't even dare to take a picture. Thankfully, I've already wrapped up all my pre-scheduled interviews. Thank you all. This'll be more...
Don't be too nervous. Why don't you take a magic pocket before you go? Here, Traveler, Paimon, you...
To move things about?
That's right. Funny. I was giving out magic pockets when we first met, too. And what do you know? I guess this must be life. We will all follow our own paths. And all right, then. We'll be handing out pockets in some other districts later, so we'll get going now. Have a good day, you two.
Well, guess we sent Charlotte off. Shall we go see what Neuvillette's doing? As long as he's not so busy that he just... Neuvillette. Paimon didn't think you were going to have free...
Really? Oh, I suppose you must have met Mr. Linney. He took the time to greet me earlier. In any case, you came at a good time. I was just considering reaching out to you to set up a meeting, so I may...
Aw, Paimon's glad that you remembered. Thank you for keeping us on your mind. Alright, let's have it then. How was Fontaine actually saved?
It is strange how words can often leave a bitter...
Whoa. So that's what happened? Focalor destroyed the divine throne of the Hydro Archon and restored your power to you. But Paimon still doesn't quite get what you did to save the Fontanians.
For me, the authority of the ancient dragons refers to absolute control over the... Fontanians were incomplete humans born of Egeria's use of the power of the primordial sea, with constitutions similar to that of mimics. But so long as those primordial energies remain within them, I could use the ancient dragon's authority to grant them true blood, after the fashion in which life was first. In other words, when I gave my verdict, Fontanians became true humans, and thus would naturally know...
Focalor must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict was the key to making the prophecy appear to have come true while saving everyone. Yeah, and in a manner of speaking, Focalor finally managed to fulfill the original Hydro Archon's wish to turn...
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish to ask. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I have investigated his case along many avenues, and I have learned that he once fell into an unknown chasm when he was young. There, by chance, he awakened the all-devouring narwhal. But whether it be by sentiment or reason, that should not have been enough to consider him the root cause of the disaster. As for the judgment passed by the oratrice during the trial, whether it was due to that liability by association or Focalor deliberately using him to buy time for us on the assumption that he would be able to hold the creature off, I cannot...
Guess Focalor had Fontanians in mind the whole time. In the end, it was thanks to her that they finally became real humans. Hang on a second. Paimon suddenly got another question. Back when Fontanians hadn't yet become real humans, were the children they had...
Life has always flowed like water. Do you recall how Fontanians would often come...
Yeah! Lynette said the fountain is where all the waters in Fontaine converge.
In truth, even those couples did not know that such prayers were known. Those Oceanids who were blessed within the spring water would later descend as new humans in the coming months.
Paimon sorta gets it now. Either way, it seems like...
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Yeah, about that. Risley said Farina...
Ah, Lady Farina. The people are only aware that her death sentence has not been carried out. She abdicated the post of Hydro Archon and left affairs related to that title to me, before leaving the Opera House. I related Focalor's words to her faithfully and completely. After hearing them, she seemed neither saddened nor comforted. She simply said that she was tired and needed... Having said that, she then packed her things and moved out of the Opera House, not unlike how an ordinary person might.
But she's still got a place to stay, right?
You need not worry. I will make arrangements to ensure that she will not want for food, clothing, board, or travel. In truth, I am somewhat happy for her. The wear and tear on her spirit will, of course, take time to heal. But now that she no longer has to play the role of Focalor the Hydro Archon, she can finally lay down her burdens and lead a normal...
What about you, then? What are your plans now that you've regained your full powers as the Hydro Dragon?
After Focalor passed on, the Oratrice also ceased to function. This matter will directly affect our trials. After much careful consideration, I've decided to take over its role in our courts. From now on, I shall hear...
Looks like you're still considering stuff from the perspective of the Udex, huh?
As an elemental dragon, there are indeed many things that I must do. But this power and this duty... As such, before I attend to my other responsibilities, I must first and foremost continue to serve Fontaine as its highest judge. The duty of the Hydro Sovereign and the duty of the Udex. Additionally, the Hydro Archon's departure has brought about another problem. which is that the Opera House shall no longer produce indemnitium.
That's true. That power was derived from the people's faith in the Hydro Archon, wasn't it? Wait, but the various mechs and machines in the city are all still okay. Where are they?
As I am now, I have full command over New Musia, and it can serve as a complete substitute. Another reason why I cannot quite leave Fontaine immediately.
Wow. This ancient dragon's authority stuff is really quite useful.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Oh, that's right! They say you've given it to the knave as a diplomatic gift or something.
Leaving aside their intentionality, the two Fatui Harbingers have indeed done much for us during this crisis. Their sole remaining goal in Fontaine, at least at this point, would seem to be the Oratrice has ceased to function. The Hydro Archon's divine throne is now no more, and I do not. As such, it has lost all meaning for Fontaine. If the Fatui have impure designs, then we might as well accede to their request.
What complicated considerations? Paimon thought you were just giving it to them out of
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. You will soon be heading to Natlan, I presume. I'm afraid that I have little talent as a travel guide, so all I can do is tell you what I know. As far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be a nation.
A nation of dragons? You mean like
No, I suspect that I would not find myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, the dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Natlan is also the nation of war. War ravages those lands like an There is one other piece of information I got incidentally from my negotiations with the knave. The Harbinger known as the Captain has thrown his hat into the endless ring of...
The Captain. Sounds like a real tough customer. Seriously, everywhere you look, there's a...
I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to Natlan. In the meantime, Fontaine's door... Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Hang on a sec. Paimon's still got a question about the note. When we spoke to Linny earlier, he mentioned that your attitude... We guessed that there might be some reason for it that only you were aware of.
No wonder the House of the Hearth is the Fatui's intelligence division. They are... So regarding this specific issue, I was just getting ready to...
What is it?
In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Well, we're going to head topside to see what's going on. You hurry over
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here. I can finally catch the scent of your power. What it's made of. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons. But with something very similar to a god's curse. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before.
I do not know what you speak of.
Of course. How could I forget? You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of any such thing.
According to your parlance...
Well, that much is true. After Focalor's divinity faded, she handed her gnosis, but I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Foul, ever since I was young. And I have never returned to the surface since. So most of the information... It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess a different sort of common sense. Which is why there are so many problems in our time. Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects of misfortune. To live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies, the bonds he once had with this world shall...
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my... personal thoughts. And
this third descender you refer to, who are...
Master never mentioned them to me. Perhaps it just wasn't that If you're interested, though, I could ask him. I'll be sure to
Next time. You believe we will meet again?
I do. Wait. I have a disciple of my own, don't I? He can be the messenger then.
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not.
The remains of the third descendant? So that's what the Gnosis actually are. Paimon just thought they looked like chess pieces. How could...
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding or special metaphor at play, that is what she meant to say.
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it, which is why you gave it to the
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk by I had guessed that you might already be familiar with this concept, but I did not expect you to be one of them. That means that the Gnosis, which are exceedingly element-compatible and can even enhance elemental abilities, do indeed. I wonder, does your...
Like being able to use elemental powers without a vision! No, let's not think about this stuff right now. It just feels... comparing the Traveler to the dead third descender and all. That's what you say, but this topic still feels like bad luck. Once Child recovers, let's get some more answers out of him. Or go look for his mask.
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind guesses when information is lacking.
Alright. Whatever the case, it seems like the
Yes. All of Focalor's efforts were...
But she sacrificed herself in the end as a god, and she suffered through all those...
I suppose that would be the mystery of a god's will. I suspect not. But once in a while, I too would guess that if wishes were like the clouds in the sky, life flows like water, and rain is the final answer. The water levels may sometimes tilt one way or another, but the rain falls fairly upon all. And what, ultimately, is the difference between the rain...